There was a very significant activity taking place outside the Parliament House in which many of his colleagues were involved. He therefore recommended they deal with just the presentation of papers. For his part, the available leader for the Minority Caucus, Mr. James Agalga, admitted that the House was not properly constituted to transact any important business. In the light of the low turnout, the Majority Leader proposed the adjournment, which was seconded by Mr. James Agalga. Let's go to the courts now. The Accra High Court has sentenced 6 persons convicted over their involvement in the Western Togoland disturbances in 2020 to a maximum of 4 years in prison in hard labor. Meanwhile, the court sentenced the third accused to 2 more years for stealing. The judge, Justice Mary Yanzu, convicted the accused persons after finding him guilty for offences contrary to the Prohibited Organizations Act 1976, SMCD 20.
Kennedy Awunyo Kwame Tonyaviji, aka Abizi Bey, Raymond Yao Blue, aka Captain, Edem Nukunu, aka FBI Commander, Jerry Peglo, and Sylvanus Shashi. The charges preferred against them include attending meetings of a prohibited organization, making contributions to the funds of a prohibited organization, participating in the campaign of a prohibited organization, and being a member of a prohibited organization. The court heard that national security officers based on intelligence embarked on an operation to identify and arrest members of the Western Togoland Restoration Front, who on September 25, 2020, blocked the road at Drapong and Sogakope and set fire to 2 STC vehicles. The group on the same day also attacked the Avahime and Mepe police stations, respectively, and freed the inmates in the cells, locked up the policemen on duty in the cells, took arms and ammunition from the armory of the police stations, and bolted. The Western Togoland Restoration Front is a splinter organization from the Homeland Study Group Foundation, whose main objective is to secede from the Republic of Ghana. Investigations led to the arrest of the convicts, who admitted to being members of Western Togoland Restoration Front and also to playing active roles in its organization and activities. In a search conducted in the room of the first accused, Kennedy Awunyo, quantities of Western Togoland flags and stickers were found. He is also said to have received and disbursed funds of the Western Togoland Restoration Front to ensure that the plans of the organization materialized. The second accused person, Kwame Tonyaviji, alias Abizbe, stole 1 AK-47 rifle at the Avaima police station during the raid on September 25, 2020. The third accused person, Raymond Yao Blue, also known as Captain, admitted to participating in Western Togoland's guerrilla military training, after which he was issued with a certificate, a Western Togoland membership card, and an Army guerrilla training certificate in his name and with his picture embossed on it, were found during a search in his room. The third, fourth, and sixth accused persons are said to have contributed funds for the running of the Western Togoland Restoration Front. The facts concluded that, but for the vigilance of the security agencies, the activities of the accused persons and others at large would have led to the disruption of the 2020 presidential and parliamentary elections in the Volta and Oti regions. Chris Akume, lawyer for the convicts, prayed the court for a lesser punishment since his clients had spent over 2 years on remand.
As a citizen of this country, I assume that all other persons should be law-abiding. Okay. And anything which is done to disturb the peace and tranquility of this nation must be punished. I have no qualms about it. In this instant case, I think that there will be so much exaggeration on the part of the prosecution when it comes to the offenses which they were alleged to have committed. Yes. Because some of them were not even at the various courts that they claimed they were. I never participated in some of the actions that have been mentioned in the charges.
The number adds up to 11, the number of persons who have been convicted and sentenced for the same offence by the court. The first batch of 5 convicts were sentenced to a total of 25 years in prison in hard labour.
Let's go to Koforidua, where studies show that young people listen to and understand their peers more than their teachers, followed by their parents, with law enforcement being the last. For this reason, it has become imperative to increase peer education in schools so as to boost the confidence level of students, improve their emotional cognitive skills, and the transfer of knowledge among the youth, especially on the use of illicit drugs. The Eastern Regional Commander of the Narcotics Control Commission, Mr. Felix Safoyeboah, disclosed this during the regional celebration of World Drug Day in Koforidua in the Eastern Regional Capital.
Of the World Drug Day in Koforidua was on the theme People First, Stop Stigmatization and Discrimination, Strengthening Prevention. It was to afford stakeholders the opportunity to share ideas on how to help people with substance use disorders and also help their families to identify the need to show love to such victims. It brought together students from Oforipeni Senior High School, Oyoko Methodist SHS, Suhum Islamic Girls SHS, Wesley International School, St. Dominic RC Basic School, and representatives of the security services and those from the health and education sectors. The Narcotics Control Commission Act 2020, Act 1019, ensures that substance use disorders is now treated as a public health issue, which is a huge jump in the fight. This, the farmers of the Act believe, will now afford families and their affected relations the opportunity to seek medical and professional assistance before it becomes too late, to prevent negative peer influence with attempts to lure the youth into substance use and its abuse. The Commission has started the formation of drug awareness clubs in schools. The aim is to train the youth as peer-to-peer educators. It is also to arm the youth with the needed set of skills to set goals and work to achieve them, even at their tender ages, so as to serve as role models to their peers. The Senior Narcotics Control Officer in the Eastern Region, Mr. Felix Safoyeboah, asked all to join the train to educate the young ones, especially on problems associated with drug use.
Let us do all we can to prevent first-time drug use while educating those who have already fallen victims to substance use on the importance of early intervention such as counseling, rehabilitation, and family support. Few years ago, it was difficult for people with substance use disorders to come out to seek medical and professional help without being afraid of stigma, arrest, and probable prosecution.
The Chief Director at the Eastern Regional Coordinating Council, Mr. John Donko, called for intensification of awareness on the dangers associated with drug use. Various stakeholders hailed the formation of drug awareness clubs in schools. A logo for the drug awareness club was launched. A drama troupe from Oyoko Methodist Senior High School did a sketch on substance use disorders and effects.
And in the Ashanti region, government is sourcing World Bank loan facility to expand their Asafo wastewater treatment plant. When complete, the number of wastewater treatment institutions will increase from the current 14 to 29 in the Ashanti region and supply many households in the area with water. During an inspection visit to the treatment plant, the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Madam Cecilia Benadapa, warned the management of the facility not to accept liquid waste from especially health facilities because it may be poisonous.
The Asafo wastewater treatment plant was built in 1994 and managed by the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, KMA. The plant receives effluent from 14 institutions, including industries, local assemblies, and some 250 homes from the Kumasi metropolis. The facility has various chambers that accommodates the liquid waste at the different stages during the treatment process. However, there is the need to rehabilitate and expand the plant to help improve on treatment and broaden the supply base. Meanwhile, children from the slum around the plant have been fishing from some of the ponds for sale or consumption. During a weekend visit to the facility, the Minister for Water Resources and Sanitation, Madame Cecilia Dapa, hinted that an aquaculture would be established from the treated wastewater, adding that the rehabilitation and expansion of the facility could extend its lifespan up to 2045. She, however, cautioned users to be prepared to pay the appropriate rate.
You heard me saying that it's not going to be business as usual. Whoever has a partnership with the KMA will make sure, as a monitoring and policy making ministry for this sector, will make sure that the right thing is done, meaning the right amount of charges will be effected to be able to generate money to sustain. Government shouldn't be the one to fund, to maintain, and to do extra works as and when necessary. I think the project should be self-financing.
The minister also inspected ongoing reclamation of the Oti landfill site in the Asokwa municipality. For the past 20 years, the Oti landfill site has been a dump site for all solid and liquid waste materials from the Kumasi metropolis and Busumtwi district. Residents say the site has been a major health concern to them. However, since the beginning of the decommissioning and reclamation exercise, leachate and its attendant odor, houseflies and other conditions have substantially reduced. The exercise being carried out by Zoomlion is about 70% complete and is scheduled for completion in November 2023. The project entails a road network, gas entrapment and landscaping. The sanitation minister said the landscaping of the site would be modeled after the Green Ghana initiative to serve as a recreational facility. Meanwhile, a portion of the 63-acre landfill site has still been reserved for use by Oti and its nearby communities for the disposal of household waste.
Now, preparations to outdoor GBC's maiden edition of Gadangme Bio show is underway with an auditioning. The beauty pageant show aims to empower young female Gadangmes in the Gas States and its environs and project the rich culture of the Gadangme on GBC's Obonu TV.
Gadangme Bio, Gadangme Bio.
Gadangme Bio, a beauty pageant program, seeks to exhibit not only the beauty of the female Gadangme, but also to educate people on the Gadangme tradition. A host of young ladies converge on the premises of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation to try their luck at the auditioning to select suitable representatives for the program. Mr. Vincent Ruthford Quay, the producer and director of the show, gives some highlights of the program.
The concept is basically to train our Gadangme ladies to bring out the culture that is dying down within the Gadangme community. The whole concept is about bringing the Gadangme together and also to bring out the culture that is kind of dying out.
Some of the participants shared their expectations with GBC News after going through a series of drills.
Audition anything, push me to that level.
I think I can go far if only I psych myself up for what is to come. I expect everything to go well if I put in more effort.
Auditioning begins on Monday, 26 June to 7th July 2023 at Studio 9 at GBC. 13 ladies will eventually be selected for the show, which will be coming up soon on GBC's Obonu TV.
And some unfortunate news of floods as one of UNESCO's World Heritage Sites in Ghana at the Jomoro district of the Western region, Zulezu, which means surface of water has been flooded after a heavy downpour. The community, which is entirely made up of stilt and harbors over 500 people, is almost submerging after it rained continuously for 7 days. School pupils have also been affected as the Nzulezu Primary School has been destroyed by the flood. Some residents are said to have been evacuated on boats to Beyin, a nearby community in the area, to seek shelter. According to some of the residents, a similar event happened some 10 years ago, but that was not as serious as this one. The tourist attraction in Nzulezu was added to the UNESCO World Heritage Site on January 17, 2000 in the cultural category and has since witnessed significant increase in both local and foreign tourist visits. Let's go to the international front. Sierra Leone's elections incumbent Mr. Julius Maada Bio has been declared the winner of Sierra Leone's presidential election, but the opposition is disputing the results. Official figures indicate that Mr. Bio gained 56% of the votes. His main rival, Mr. Samura Kamara, trailed far behind. Now, after the first tranche of results were released on Monday, Dr. Kamara called the outcome daylight robbery. Saturday's vote took place amid tension, but President Bio has called on Sierra Leoneans to keep the peace. Dr. Kamara, who was the candidate for the All People's Congress APC, has alleged that his electoral agents were not allowed to verify the ballot counting. European Union and Commonwealth observers have highlighted problems with transparency in the tallying process. Now, Kenya has launched an online register with records of all convicted sexual offenders, which is expected to enhance justice for victims. Chief Justice of Kenya, Martha Koome, said the automation of the database will ensure easy access to information on convicted sex offenders, facilitating expedited justice. She said this will help justice authorities to monitor and supervise sexual offenders after they were released from prison. The public can also, upon request, get access to the database. Now, the Chief Justice said this will enable them to take precautionary measures to protect themselves and their children. And Russia's President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday disclosed the members of the Wagner mercenary group were fully funded by the state. According to Mr. Putin, Wagner was given $1 billion from May 2022 to May 2023 alone for salaries and bonuses, which came from the Defense Ministry and state budget. The private army's revolt on Saturday rocked Russia. Its leader, Mr. Yevgeny Prigozhin, arrived in Belarus on Tuesday after agreeing to leave Russia. Now, on Saturday, mercenary troops led by Wagner boss Yevgeny Prigozhin took over the southern Russian city of Rostov-on-Don, marched on Moscow, and shut down Russia's